Hi dear friends, welcome back to Aksharadhare. I am Devraj. Today is the 12th October 2023. I hope you guys are enjoying your holidays and also the Dasara holidays and also learning great and earning great. Before going to start today's newspaper reading, I would request you everyone to please subscribe the channel, like and comment. If you like the video, please share with your friends. It may useful for somebody who are looking for the opportunities. So let's start reading the newspaper and see what's in today news and front page. So let's start reading. This is the front page, Bangalore edition. Rajasthan election put up by 2 days. November 25 declared as the new polling date after the election commission received several requests in view of the Dev Uthani Ekadashi on November 20th. Operation Ajay set to evacuate Indian nationals from Israel. Israel pounds Gaza by air. Hamas fights on. SC farm on transfer of Manipur SC judge. Rohit Pawar's India or post Afghanistan. UN Security Council reform is a song in a loop. Assam bound express train derails in Bihar. 4 dead. State forms panel to frame education policy. BBMP is the first enemy of city, says High Court. It directs civic body to conduct survey of all hoardings across the city and give past 3 years date on permission granted for hoarding and the fee collected. BDA will soon commence the groundwork to prepare revised master plan for Bangalore. DK Shivakumar, Shivaram Karanth layout, Nadaprabhu Kempegowda layout, and Peripheral Ring Road project are among the new commissioner's priorities. Firecracker tragedy, youth succumbs, tall number now 50. Services are regularized. BMTC starts speeder service on two routes from Kiarpura metro station. Many employees from companies along the ORR have started utilizing the service. Man arrested for posting private photos of fiancé. Five new zonal commissioners. UVC seeks funds for infra development, stop recruitment. Space stations are like prison with nice view if you don't keep yourself busy. Crew members have very strict schedules at space station, says French astronaut Thomas Pasquier, who has had two stints at the ISS. There is not much role of AI because the environment we live in is too complicated and too complex, as there are stuff everywhere. It really takes a human being to understand what is going on. A decision to release Baba Jones of Arkhawati and Kumudbati draws flag. Authorities have not provided any aid, says injured students' parents. Charan a class 7 student, was seriously injured when the wall of a concrete water tank collapsed on him at Moraji Desai Residential School on September 21. Doctor says it will take nearly 6 months of him to recover. Salesman and associate arrested for stealing 1.2 kg gold jewelry. Job racket. Former BBMP war room employee held. Kaveri Committee retains water release recommendation of 3,000 cusecs to Tamil Nadu. Present water levels at reservoirs, monsoon forecast and requirement of states considered. State government protecting farmers' interests says decades. Abortion begs to depot. Muniratra goes into high drama mode to seek funds for his constituency. Government keen to push EV adoption in state ready. State forms panel to frame education policy. Hundreds of people attempt to lay siege to SUK campus. Smart city roads standards are diluted, footpaths remain pedestrian. Smart city roads are meant to be a game changer in sustainable mobility and marked by a pedestrian first approach are now seriously compromised with private property and parking encroachments. Colors, cultures, and traditions come together at a Christ University sustainability event, Chakroka. The event encompassed workshops, competitions, and exhibitions of arts, which exposed the participants to a range of cultural perspectives. A whole new uprising seemed to be heard. Kabi's timeless voice, by the children for the children. Karnataka cabinet gives in principle note to declare eco-sensitive zones in six forecast areas. Areas are Kappatagudda, Bukapatna, Kamasandra, Nagarhole, Kaveri Wildlife Sanctuary, Dandeli Wildlife Sanctuary. Priest is the sister booked for humiliating minor Dalit girl. Dasra invitation extended to CM Governor and Amshalika. JDS Kerala panel to rally other state units against Devegoda. UN Security Council reform is a song in a loop. Let's read this editorial page written by the MP Shashi Tharoor. More than 3 decades after the debate first started over fundamental reforms at the United Nations, the issue appears to have resurfaced at the ongoing General Assembly session of the World Body. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey was blunt. The Security Council has ceased to be the guarantor of the war of world security and has become a battleground for a political strategies of only 5 countries. Even the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a stern warning. The world has changed. Our institutions have not. We cannot effectively address problems as they are if institutions do not reflect the world as it is. Instead of solving problems, they risk becoming part of the problem. It could not have been put more bluntly, but we have heard this song before. Politically, it is untenable that the permanent members, China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, enjoy their position and the privilege of a veto over any council resolution or decision merely by virtue of having won a war 76 years ago. In the case of China, the word war needs to be placed within inverted commas. I was serving at the Union when then Secretary General Boutros Ghali declared that Security Council reform must be accomplished in time for the 50th anniversary of the World Organization in 1995. But even as the urgent rhetoric continues to be spoken, the organization has missed not only the 50th anniversary of the UN, but even if the 60th, the 70th, and now the 75th left to their own devices. Member states will be arguing the merits of the case well past the UN centenary. An unjust situation in terms of equity. The problem of reforming the Security Council is akin to a malady in which a number of doctors gather around a patient. They all agree on the diagnosis, but they cannot agree on the prescription. The diagnosis is clear. The Security Council reflects the geopolitical realities of 1945 and not of today. When the UN was founded in 1945, the Council consisted of 11 members out of a total UN membership of 51 countries. In other words, some 22% of other 22% of member states were on the Security Council. Today, there are now 193 member states of the UN and only 115 members of the Council, fewer than 8%. The one change ever made to the original charter was in 1965 when the Security Council was expanded from 11 members to 15 by adding four more elected non-permanent members. So many more countries, both in absolute numbers and as a proportion of the membership, do not feel adequately represented on the body. The composition of the council also gives undue weightage to the balance of power of those days. Europe, for instance, which accounts for barely 5% of the world's population, still controls 33% of the seats in any given year, and that does not count Russia, another European power. In terms of simple considerations of equity, this the situation is unjust. For starters, to those countries though whose financial contributions to the UN outweigh those are four of the five permanent members. Japan and Germany have for decades been the second and third largest contributors to the UN budget, while still being referred to as enemy states in the United Nations Charter, since the UN was set up by the victorious allies of the Second World War, and it denies opportunities to other states such as India, which by its sheer size of population, its share of the world economy, and our contributions in kind to the UN through a participation in peacekeeping operations. For example, have helped shape the evolution of world affairs in the 7 decades since the organization was born. Stances by countries. So the Security Council is clearly ripe for reform to bring it into the second quarter of the 21st century. But for every state that feels it deserves a place on the Security Council, and especially the handful of countries which believes their status in the world ought to be recognized as being in no way impaired to at least three of the existing permanent members. There are several who know they will not benefit from any reform. The small countries that make up more than half the UN's membership accept that reality and are content to compete occasionally for a 2 year non-permanent seat on the council. But the medium-sized and all large countries, which are the rivals of the prospective beneficiaries, deeply resent the prospect of a select few breaking free of their current second rank status in the world body. Many are openly animated by a spirit of competition, historical grievance of simple envy. They have successful and indefinitely thwarted reform of the membership of the Security Council. Part of the problem is that the bar to amending the UN Charter has been set rather high. Any amendment requires a two-thirds majority of the overall membership. In other words, 129 of the 193 states in the General Assembly and would further have to be ratified by two-thirds of the member states. Ratification is usually a parliamentary procedure. So, in other words, the only prescription that has any chance of passing is one that will both persuade two-thirds of the UN member states to support it and not attract the opposition of any of the existing permanent five, or even that a powerful US senator who could block ratification in Washington. That has proved to be a tall order indeed. India's credentials may seem obvious to us, but China is not too keen to diluting its status as the only Asian permanent member. Pakistan, which fancies itself as India's strategic rival on the subcontinent, is unalterably opposed, and to some extent, Indonesia seems to feel diminished by the prospect of an Indian seat. In Latin America, Brazil occupies a place analogous to India's in Asia, but Argentina and Mexico have other ideas, pointing to Portuguese speaking Brazil's inferior credentials in representing largely Hispanic Latin America. And while Africa, given that it accounts for 54 member states, insists on two permanent seats, always want to adjudicate the rival credentials of the contingent's largest democracy. Nigeria, its historically largest economy, South Africa, and its oldest civilization, Egypt. Another proposal suggests creating a second category of semi permanent members to accommodate such states for saved and collectible terms. It has found no takers among the principal aspirants, continuing gridlock. So, while the debate keeps going round in circles for decades, gridlock continues in the Security Council, as most vividly illustrated recently over the Ukraine conflict, when a permanent member of the Security Council invaded a sovereign UN member state and the Council proved powerless to respond. Russia's increasing resort to the veto has blocked resolutions on Ukraine, Mali, Syria, and North Korea. Similar obstructionism by the West has affected proposals to reform the financial institutions established at Bretton Woods in 1944, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. And yet, this is the only global system we have got that brings all countries together on a common platform. Can we afford to let it fade into ineffectiveness and irrelevance? Let's go to the next editorial page. Modinomics fails to buck the trend. Let's read this editorial page written by an economist. There has been intense focus on India's growth performance of late. First, on the occasion of the Delhi meetings of the G20, the government announced that it was the world's fastest growing major economy. It was met with a challenge from an independent economist on the grounds that the Indian government had relied on the income method to estimate GDP, and that were the expenditure method to be used instead, the observed growth rate would be lower. The finance ministry responded that the government of India had been consistent in using GDP estimated by the income method throughout. This is correct. A focus that is flawed. However, it may be noted that the contestation had been over economic performance in a single quarter, namely the first quarter of the current financial year. Soon after this exchange, Arvind Subramanian and Joe Spellman investigated whether India's growth rate is accelerating or decelerating after the COVID 19 year of 2022-2021. They concluded in a media article of September 14 that after a strong recovery that there has been a significant ebbing of dynamism over the last three quarters. The former chief economic advisor and his co-author may well be right, but both the government and those challenging its narrative are focused on a very short paces of growth. This can result in mistaking the cycle, a contemporary fluctuation for the trend, which is a long-term tendency. Statistical considerations purport right now, there are good reasons for looking at a slice of time longer than a few quarters when studying economic growth in India. We are edging towards the general election 2024. A major issue in this election would be the impact of incumbent party that has had in managing the economy. Though only one aspect of economic performance, the growth of GDP, has become the main focus of attention. This shift in focus has been led by Narendra Modi government itself. So it should be open to an evaluation of its performance based on this indicator. Growth from 1950 to the present. To ascertain the impact on the economy of the present government, we investigate whether it has been able to raise its underlying rate of growth, termed the trend. As part of this, we study GDP growth from 1950 to the present. This enables us to see recent growth in relation to what has been achieved in the past. Also, we adopt a statistical procedure that identifies changes in the underlying rate of growth. And what do we find? Studying growth up to the year 2019 to 20, which is the pre-COVID-19 year, we find that the last time the growth rate increased in India was in 2000. The conclusion from this must be that the Modi government has not had success in raising the rate of growth of India's economy while in office. That does not mean that the promised achieved have not come. For there has been growth of income per capita, but this government has not been able to quicken the pace at which they have been coming our way for decades. Finding does not surpass. For in the 6 years up to the COVID 19 pandemic, the growth rate had slowed sequentially in three. Immediately upon the demonetization of 2016, as no major exogenous Genus shock struck the economy in this period. It must be concluded that it is the demonetization that caused the slowing. The reason for terminating our study at 2019 to 2020 was that the COVID 19 epidemic, which broke soon after, was a shock that was external to the economy, caused by natural factors. We wanted to exclude from our analysis any impact on GDP that was not under the control of the government. But what of the recovery since? For which the government takes credit, there is a way of assessing this claim. We may forecast GDP the year after COVID 19 by projecting forward growth rate achieved prior to 2019 to 20 and see how actual outcomes compare to these projections. So we forecast that GDP in 2022 to 23 by extending the average annual growth rate of 6.5% achieved for this period 2000 to 2001 to achieve to 2019 to 20. We found that actual GDP in 2022 to 23 is 11.1% less than predicted. So the recovery from the pandemic may well have been V-shaped, but till last year GDP was at below 10, so to speak. The COVID 19 year. Finally, though focusing on GDP growth after the pandemic may show the Indian economy in a relatively good light compared to other major economies, it misses a crucial aspect of economic management during the present government's term in office. This is how the economy performed during the COVID year of 2022 to 2021. In that year, most BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and the United States, and contracted less than India did. All these countries had also adopted a stronger microeconomic stimulus. The stimulus adopted by the government of India then was astonishingly small. The contraction of GDP during the pandemic in India is most related to that dogmatic refusal to stimulate the economy when needed. It accounts for the corresponding recovery that followed in 2021 to 22. In effect, very high growth that year reflects the restarting of production after the lifting of a very stringent lockdown, rather than an independent economic response to smart policy, which is how it is presented. Having left the economy to shift for itself for much of its tenure recently, Modinomics have swiveled to addressing growth frontally, perhaps having realized that it has not had much success in stimulating private investment. The government has, over the last two budgets, hiked capital spending at historically high rates. The ideal of minimum government seems to have been shelved in election season. Spring cleaning, fixing gray areas is good, but the GST regime needs a broader reform. GST. Central points: the Congress should not use caste mobilization as communalism counter. Women's quota, rhetoric and reality, the guardians of power. The post of guardian ministers is becoming a point of contention among Halis. Do Delhi's migrants approve the idea of remote voting? Overall, 47% of respondents tended to trust the remote voting system, while 31% expressed distrust. CBI registers PFCRA case against NewsClick, others. Agency conducts searches at two locations. It says companies issued unexplained funds, while it rules behind fund funds for firms producing or broadcasting audiovisual news programming. Rajasthan Assembly poll put up by 2 days. Caste survey report will be tabled in Bihar Assembly CM. Congress may lapse transfer of CAG officials who exposed corruption. Mastermind of Pathankot attack killed in Pakistan. India, China agreed to continue dialogue and negotiations. Delhi court summons BJP leader in rape case. At Colombo meet, Jaishankar flags changes of unviable debate. AAP leader moves against SC against indefinite suspension from RS. Assembly polls indecision continues on date of India bloc inaugural rally. The event is likely to be held in Nagpur, Maharashtra, but with the upcoming festival and hectic poll season, a date that suits all allies is proving elusive. And here's a coordination panel seat sharing arrangements are also in disarray. BJP has accepted deep in assembly polls, says Galut. Mizoram Assembly Speaker quits, set to join BJP. Bargain's game of Candy Crush, Tuesday political debate. Congress will return in Chhattisgarh, says Salja. Repeated passenger train cancellations emerge as an electoral issue in poll around Chhattisgarh. I'm a phoenix that will rise from the ashes, declares Yuvraj Singh. SC divided on women's right to end a 26-week pregnancy. Center objects to the abortion, saying the women's reproductive autonomy cannot take away the rights of our unborn child. Two judges bench opposed the case to CJI to form a larger bench. The interest of the petitioner has to be considered. Here, her socio-economic situation, her decision must be respected by the court. 4 killed, over 60 injured as train derails in Bihar. Trailer for series on Indian freedom struggle released. Manipur bans sharing visuals of violence on social media. Curbs it up from linked to deaths to resume production. Major safety issue detected in a southeastern railway. 3.21 lakh appeals pending with the Information Commission's report. Taking the help of Acharya. Erdogan vows to intensify strikes on Kurdish groups in Iraq, Syria. Slovak populist PICO says to form a bloc with ultra-nationalists for right. Republicans nominate Steve Scalise as next House Speaker. China frees a jailed Australian reporter Chang Li after 3 years. Israel forms emergency government for duration of war. Netanyahu was joined by scientist Benny Gantz. Israel continues bombing Gaza ahead of potential ground assault against Hamas. A death count touches 1,200 and 1,055 in Israel and Gaza, respectively. Most EU nations wanted to continue funding the Palestinian Authority. India likely to skip China's BR Rise summit. TCS Q2 net profit rises 8.7%, firm says headwinds remain. India's top IT company and Tata Group firm cites healthy addition to order book, announces a 1,700 crore share buyback at 4,150 per share, declares benign dividend. AL ALL unveils a Comet Star 1915 struck for long haulage. Government sets lithium mining royalty at 3% of LME prices. The SEBI said to probe Adani Gulf Asia ties. Deeper bond markets key to finance and energy transition. Kodak Bank to focus on SMEs in the South. Supply issue hinder delivery mark India. Foreign firms bank accounts need no PAN in Gift City. MTR Foods will now be Orkla India. Arguably the best ODI player of all time, Smith and Kohli. Gill reaches Ahmedabad. Regime remains doubtful for India-Pakistan game. I had fun with Hyderabad crowd. Felt like playing in Pendi. H1 traveling to India for window park matches. PJB Chief Jack Ashraf. Rohit's swashbuckling century makes easy for World Cup Afghanistan. Dial R for Rohit and records. We decided to forget the IPL episode, says Naveen. I look at the conditions and bowl accordingly. Bumrah. Today we felt that the ball was coming along nicely to the bat and we tried to bowl harder lengths. Australia, South Africa in battle of heavyweights. Bowlers and conditions likely to play a role in determining the outcome of the contest as there is little to choose between the two sides. Coming side needs a win to get its campaign going. ODIs have been tiring for a couple of years. D. Cock. Williamson progressing well. Sanji bowling coach. Stoin is fit again, available for selection coming. Savius Manikanta eclipses 100-meter national record with a perfectly run race. We are aware that players will make a critical analysis of our skills and techniques. Asian men's double gold medalist Satvik Raj says that his biggest opponent is his body and that he has to stay injury free to keep doing well. Ben depended on Upamecano ruled out for several weeks. Crini is well prepared to deliver in the chief minister's to be. Two Indian javelin throwers will be in 90-meter club. Neeraj. Injured experienced midfielder Sushila Chano rested from India's Asian Champions Trophy squad. Ram George, a bomber racing correspondent, passes away. Sindhu in a second round of Arctic Open badminton. Former champions Nadal, Osaka, Kerber, and Wozniacki is set to return in 2024. Ward by to public police constable, the man behind compound glory. India won 7 medals, including golds in compound archery at the Hangzhou Asian Games. The makings of this success can be traced back to a sugarcane field turned shooting academy in Maharashtra by Praveen Sawant. Wanted to keep surgery bill low, avoid surgical site infections. Investing in safe surgeries could significantly reduce the costs associated with surgeries in low to middle income countries like India. According to a study, the findings show that surgical site infections extend hospital stays up to a month or more and worsen the financial burden on patients. Deadly it will soon 8 billion study. A surgical site infection is a common complication in surgeries worldwide. It is an infection that occurs at the site of a surgery in the body. It could be a superficial akin infection or a deeper one involving issues. While India, Pakistan, and the Gulf have briefly touched dangerous humidity. The study found it will uplift major cities from Lagos to Chicago if the world keeps heating up. Meet the harsh nature and the universe's heavy winds. This is the last two pages. Text and context. Delete all due to the war between the Israel and Hamas. 2000 death toll. Death toll due to the war between Israel and Hamas. 2,200. The revised death toll due to the earthquakes in Afghanistan. 1,000. The Paula in the shares of state-owned Bank of Baroda. 3.27%. The growth forecasted by the IMF for Pakistan. Inflow in equity mutual fund slumps in September. Concerns about government fact check unit. What do the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Amendment Rules 2023 IT rules say about identifying fake news? Who has filed petitions against the amendment rules? What has the court observed about editorial content online? Why are cases against Yunus drawing attention? Why is Aman Muhammad Yunus, winner for the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize, being prosecuted by the government of Bangladesh? What is the role of the US in these allegations? Text and context. No, you are English. The events before and after Operation Polo in Hyderabad post independence. After the country won its freedom, Indian Army forces were sent in to overcome the kingdom's troops. The aftermath of this event on September 13, 1948, is still being researched, investigated, and written about. Amitabh Bachchan, one of the most influential and successful artists in the history of Indian cinema, was born on October 11, 1942. Here is a quiz on his life and legacy. No, you are English. This is today news, guys. So, lead if you would like to read this article, so it may gain the knowledge for you. I hope you guys have enjoyed the newspaper reading and read continue for 2 hours daily to make you better in communication. And if you guys have any doubts or comments, so you guys can leave the comment in the comment box so that I can come up with a resolution and solutions for your doubts. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe the channel, like and comment. If you like the video, share it with your friends. It may useful for somebody. So see you in the upcoming videos, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.